Hey YouTube, Mustang Matt here. Even though I don't have a Mustang anymore, I'm still Mustang Matt. That's my branding. That's what I'm going with, except for my personal Instagram, which is now Smurf ZLE, as some of you guys may be familiar with. Behind me is a car that I have owned for almost 2 years now and have yet to do a review on. So that's what we're gonna do today. Like I said, this is my 2022 Camaro ZL1 1LE. It is a 10-speed auto. It is cammed, lower pulley, full exhaust, intake, wheels. Of course, that may be one of the first things that you notice. And a couple other little bits and pieces here, some little carbon fiber bits and pieces. These are not stock. These are aftermarket carbon fiber canards. The factory ones are just a matte black to go with the splitter. Everything else is stock carbon fiber, at least on the outside. The hood insert is carbon fiber on the 1LE package, and so is the wing. The wing is also carbon fiber on the 1LE package. Now I chose this car because I wanted something with the LT4 platform. I was looking for mainly a CTSV, a Gen 3 CTSV. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything that was really nice available for sale in my area. At the time that I was looking, it was, well, it's been almost 2 years now, so it was July of 2022 that I had parted out my Mustang. If you follow my Instagram, you definitely saw all that stuff. If you've been following it for that amount of time, you saw me posting a bunch of stuff for sale and then all the updates and blah, blah, blah. So I wanted something with the LT4 platform. I was looking, like I said, at CTSVs. That was what really had my heart. I love those cars, and they're sick cars, and I wanted one. The 4 doors was going to be convenient just for hauling stuff, and if I had friends ride with me or whatever, it would have been nice to have the 4 doors. Couldn't find anything nice available. There was like one available anywhere near me that had the spec that I wanted, had the carbon fiber package. Unfortunately, it wasn't that nice in person, so obviously, like, I didn't buy it. I looked for C706s. There was nothing super nice available in my area again, so I didn't go that route. I ended up, I don't think I even looked at any in person because they were either the 15-16 model, which has some issues. They have, you know, those are the ones with the cooling issues and whatnot. And then after that, the 19s and stuff were a lot more pricey, so I didn't end up going with that one. It was even more expensive than this car, so I didn't do that. This car, a friend of mine owned it before me. You may know him on Instagram, formerly as Killcat. He owned this car, so I knew about the car. I knew about the condition of the car. I knew that it was pristine. I know that he takes care of his stuff. So, and he had traded into a dealership. So I was like, you know, I'm not really a Camaro guy. I even told some friends I'm not a Camaro guy. I plan to go look at it anyway. And I saw it again in person because I had seen it before, like at Cars and Coffee, but it wasn't really with the mindset of like, this is my car, or it could be my car. So I looked at it with the mindset of, do I want this to be my car? And I looked at it, I looked at the interior, I sat in it, and I was like, hell yeah, this is my car. And here we are almost 2 years later. So without further ado, I'm going to start it up real quick and let you guys hear the cam. In the back there, came to hang out and take some car pictures. So I can't really talk over the car, so I'm gonna have to turn it back off. Just a little bit loud. So moving on to the interior of the car, I do have a few complaints about the interior to start off with, and then we'll get into the good. The first complaint is the steering wheel kind of blocks some functions. The start button is right here. Obviously, if you get in the car and you're new to the car, you don't know where to reach for it. You're kind of like, where is it? So that was one thing that took a lot of getting used to. And where I'm holding the camera right now, this is like my exact line of sight. I'm holding it right in front of my face. Same thing with these over here, the dimmer switch and the HUD controls. It does have a HUD up there. I'll start the car up again in a second and show that to you, because that is a very cool feature. You can change the info that it shows. I leave it on speedometer and tachometer, so, and it has a really cool like sweeping tach. That's also kind of behind the steering wheel. So if you're newer to the car and you're like, where is it? You may not even see this back here. The other thing is the screen took some getting used to, because it's tilted really weird. It's tilted downwards, and I'm under the belief that they did this for glare when you're driving, so it's not straight up and having the sun like come down and glare off of it. So I think that's why they did that, but I'm just not 100% sure. But onto the good stuff. This is like a combination of a race car and a luxury car. I mean, the seat moves forward and backwards when you turn it on. There's Alcantara all over the place. The steering wheel, you know, don't mind that it's matted down a little bit. I like to drive my car a lot, and unfortunately I don't clean the interior enough as much as I should. But on the doors here, the red stitching, the seats, heated and cooled Recaros, Alcantara on the seats, Alcantara and leather mix with more red stitching just to kind of match some of the red accents that go with the car. The seats are crazy comfortable. They hug you a lot. They're padded, but they're not like too padded to where they're super heavy. Just enough to make them very comfortable. One other gripe I had is the center console is like super weird. The way it opens, it's like here, and then it's like, my arm is there. Instead of like just being right here where you can kind of flip it open, it's like here, and then you gotta kind of like awkwardly do one of these to get it to stay open, which is very strange. It's a weird design, especially considering a lot of that space is unused. It's only like from here back that's actually used. So yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of a weird thing that you learn to live with and get used to. The other thing is, forget your back seats. Yeah, it has them, but they are useless. This seat is positioned, let me turn the dinging off so you guys don't have to keep listening to that. But the seat is positioned where it would be comfortable for a passenger, and yeah, there's no room. There's no room. Other than that though, it's awesome. ZL1 accent on the shifter, the design of everything except for like the little stuff that I mentioned. The design is really awesome. It took some getting used to, where to change the temperature you actually spin these middle vents, obviously driver and passenger, and then if you want to close the vents, you turn the inside part. That also took some getting used to. I like that it's a uniform design. You know, all the vents are the same. It's not like one of those cars like the Mustang had vents in the middle that were different from the vents on the side. And not that it's a bad thing, I like uniformity, and I like that it kind of looks the same all across. It makes it very even. Same with either side of the screen. Obviously you have gauges and stuff here, so it's not going to be identical, but the basic shape of like this part and coming over to here, the basic shape is the same as over here. Granted, this part is carbon fiber, and that is factory. What is not factory in here is these are like carbon fiber covers that go over the silver, because normally the vent bezels match this. They're just silver. The lighting is very cool. Obviously it has like this accent lighting in the cup holder, the doors, and the center around here. It's changeable, it's color. You can program the color, or you can program the color to change with your drive modes. There are different drive modes that I will show you really quickly. Normally it'll stay in touring or sport mode. It will not stay in track mode. So if you restart the car in track mode, It is going to default to touring when you restart it. If you put it in sport, it will default to sport. I leave it in touring most of the time just because it's very calm, very chill. Sport is fine, and I leave it in sport sometimes. However, if you get on it a little bit, sometimes it gets a little too excited and it wants to, you know, downshift and be really aggressive. Whereas touring, you can hit it and it'll downshift and go, but it goes right back to being very calm. Sport, it kind of stays aggressive for a little while, even when you're just trying to chill, and then it kind of is like, okay, we're not playing anymore, we'll, you know, go back to calming down. So track mode actually stiffens up the steering a lot, so obviously, like, it's not really something I can show on camera, but track is very stiff. You go back to touring and it just becomes very loose. When you're driving, it's a lot more noticeable. The other thing is track mode has a lot more options as far as driver assist. So if you put it in track mode, you come down here, you have your traction control button. If you double click it, it brings up this kind of hidden menu that goes, and then you use your mode switch down here to select. There are several different modes that you can go through. So, and you'll see whether it has active handling on or off. So it'll have more stability control in these modes. Once you start getting into Sport 2 and Track, it's still on. Traction control is still on, but it is very, very minimal. But still, there's a noticeable difference between being in track race and having it completely off. Noticeable difference. The other thing I wanted to point out was the heads-up display. I can't tell if you can see it here on camera, but it is there. Let me see if I can turn the brightness up some. There it is. So you can change the info that you see on it. So you can go from speed, speed with music, speed with compass direction, and then speed and tack. It also shows the G-forces, which is very cool. So that's the multiple screens you can go through there. I like this one, that's just me. You can also, depending on how you position your seat and how short or tall you are, you can change the position of it in the little window. There's there's boundaries, but you can reposition up and down a little bit to adjust it to your liking. All right, now that you've listened to me yap on about all the stuff about the car, how it came about, and my gripes about it, now we get to the fun part, actually driving the car. Never gets old. So as you can kind of tell from the video a little bit, driving it slow through a neighborhood, right now I'm in a park, driving it slowly through whatever kind of like low speed zone, it's rather chill. Obviously, you know, you still have the exhaust note and stuff, but it's low RPM. I mean, right now I'm sitting at like 1300 RPMs, maybe 1250, maybe not even 13. And it's very chill. I'm doing about 20 miles an hour, and it's nothing crazy that people are gonna be like, oh my god, he's flying through the neighborhood, whatever. It's very mellow until you don't want it to be. Unfortunately, because I live in South Florida now rather than North Carolina where I used to live, there is no curves, there's no like curvy roads down here for me to really truly put the handling to the test. It's very unfortunate because I used to love mountain runs and going to the Dragon and stuff, and those of you who have watched my channel for quite a long time remember it's unfortunate that I can't really get to put the handling to the test all the time like I would like to, but it is what it is. Still a very fun car. Now as we get to driving more, you're gonna see more of what I mean when I say this is kind of like a true American supercar. This car, it's in a class above your regular Camaro SS, your regular Mustang GT, your Dodges, 392s and Hellcats and stuff. Again, never gets old. And there's a trooper. Right after I did that, there's a trooper. So back to what I was saying before I interrupted myself. This car is very all-encompassing with its power, its handling, its technology. And I would say the majority, I wouldn't say the overwhelming majority, but the majority of people are going to say get the regular ZL1, because people that drive cars like this, it's more suited to what they want to do. The drag racing, straight line, having a weekend car to take to car shows, and be comfortable. A lot of people are going to recommend that. That was like 50% throttle. That wasn't even getting after it. That was just kind of accelerating to highway speeds. The only thing that beats this thing on the track, with comparable drivers, of course, the only cars that really beat it they're like $200,000 and up. If you look at Nürburgring records, which is basically the benchmark of everything, the cars that beat this are like GT3s, GT3 RS. I think the only BMW above this one is the M5 CS, I think, if I remember correctly. And it's like, I mean, that's an expensive car because this, it's the CS and everything. I would say that would probably be the most comparable car that is in the same time range on the Nürburgring, and it's not even like drastically faster. Having a car like this and it still being at an affordable price, you don't have to be rich to buy this car, obviously, because I'm not rich. It's not like a $200,000, $300,000 car that you have to be very well off to buy. I mean, cars like that, you have to be maybe not rich, but very well off. If you're middle class, you can probably afford this car. If you're good with money. I mean, depending on where in the country you live and your rent prices, and cost of living in your area. If you live in California, your cost of living is going to be through the roof. If you live in South Florida, it's very high, unfortunately. Ask me how I know. But if you live in an area like Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, your cost of living is going to be lower, and a car like this is going to be even more obtainable. Not financial advice. This is a really bad time to be filming a driving review at 5 p.m. on a weekday in South Florida on the South Florida highway. I don't know what I was thinking filming a review during a rush hour, but we make do with what we got. So I'm going to put it down into track mode now. You will probably hear some changes in the way it drives. You're not going to be able to feel, the much stiffer steering. Obviously, I mean, it's full race car when you go to track mode. It's like, okay, it's playtime. You're going to hear that. You're going to hear it downshift a lot sooner. That's one of the big things. And once you get on it, and now the car knows it's time to go, it's time to race, it gets into it. It activates this performance shift mode, and I mean, it's self-rev match downshifts. It does all kinds of crazy stuff. Driving this car around is just awesome. It's an awesome feeling, especially once you put it in track mode. It stiffens up. Obviously, there's no Magna Ride. It's DSSV suspension. This is the only car in the Camaro lineup that comes with DSSV. So obviously the dampening doesn't adjust. It's set. It's basically like factory coilovers. So that's the same stiffness no matter what mode you're in. But the performance, the throttle response, the shifting, the steering feel, it all changes a lot with the drive modes. A lot more so than the drive modes of the Mustang. This car has full Bose speakers, comfortable seats. I wouldn't call it a road trip car because of that suspension. Even though the stiff suspension is something that's never really bothered me, it is stiff, and it's not between just the volume level overall. Me, turning up my music to kind of drown out the steady exhaust note when I'm on the highway and I'm just wanting to chill and relax and drive. It's noisy. It's not like you're not riding on a cloud, but it's a car that I don't mind to drive, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and be perfectly fine and not exhausted by the time I get there. This is about the most sharp curve we have in South Florida. cam is like it's a custom grind from Redline, but it equates to kind of like in between a stage 2 and a stage 3 with other companies. And as you can definitely tell in the video, I'm not like, it's very comfortable. The torque converter is loose enough to the point where the cam doesn't like make the car shudder a lot, which is good, and it kind of adds to that comfort level of like, you can drive a cammed car like this and not worry about comfort. Just a little bit loud. A little bit. It's quiet. It's quiet. All in all, this car is freaking awesome. It is so much fun. Such a great car. You know, it's tuned on 93, so I can throw 93 in it. Have just about 700 horsepower. Drive it anywhere I want to, and really have no worries. There's no reliability worries with this car. There's no worries driving it in the rain. Depending on what tires you have on the car, I have Pilot Sport 4S, so they're drivable in the rain. It's still rough, because especially if it's really pouring like a South Florida thunderstorm does, you still have to slow down and be careful, because they are very wide tires. The front is the 305 and the rear is the 325. So even though I have a fantastic tire on this car, you're still using caution in the rain. It's still not like, you know, I can do whatever I want or go however fast I want. No worries about comfort, as long as, you know, you can just be a man and get over the stiff suspension. And unless you're like a really big guy, these seats are going to be very comfortable. They're padded enough to be comfortable, and you know, it's not like a bucket, like a race seat, but it is a Recaro. They're heated and cooled. The AC on this car works great, and honestly, it freezes me out on like 50%. But all in all, it's such a fantastic car, and you can get one of these used, and all in, you can get one of these used for like 70,000, 65 if you get a little older one. You get a stock one of these, like a 2019 and up, you can get them for 70,000 or less. Have a, you know, a true American supercar, which is really what this car is, and just have an awesome car to thoroughly enjoy, and something that you'll never get bored of, and something that you can still mod. There's still plenty of modifications that you can do. If you don't choose to go cam, you know, you can go ethanol blend, you can go ported blower, port the blower, do upper pulley, you can go meth injection. There's a lot of different routes you can go with these cars to make power that you're going to enjoy. All in all, it's such a great car, and it's a car that, you know, is obtainable for a lot of people who just grind, work hard, and it's not like a Lamborghini where you have to be rich to be able to obtain a car like this. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and leave me a comment if you could. Helps boost my videos in the algorithm, and you know, helps the views, get more views on other videos, future videos. So if you could do that, it's greatly appreciated. You don't have to, I'm not forcing you, but it's greatly appreciated. You guys have a great day. And that was in touring mode. It just kind of relaxes. One more thing I can mention is the visibility out of the car. It's not really that bad, because this car has a video rear view mirror. The side mirrors tilt down when you put it in reverse, and it has a really good rear view, backup camera. So visibility, like, yeah, if I turn around, it's just, I get a face full of wing, but it has a lot of driver assist to help with that. The mirrors tilting helps me not curb the crap out of my wheels when I'm trying to park. I have no issues with it. As long as you're a decent driver, you won't have any issues. It also has blind spot detection on the sides. It works phenomenally, and it helps a lot. So yeah, I mean, obviously you still want to like take you know, look over, but between the assists, the mirrors, and looking, there's plenty of visibility. It's not really that bad. Pulling up to the gas station is fun. The car always gets a lot of looks at the gas station. All the time. Anytime I pull up to a gas pump. Why on an American car, the gas pump nozzle would be on the passenger side, I don't really know. Does that add to it being a true American supercar with the little Euro styling of the gas pump being on the wrong side of the car? Who knows?